Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Social Sciences Coffee Break. Today is November 11th, Remembrance Day, and that will be the theme of our break today. Um, Stacy is not here. I will be doing the elementary share resource to be shared today, and I'll also be doing the secondary resource on the First World War. Before we start, I will mention that on our newsletter, and posted around in different contexts on this public share, you'll see now that we are listing up and coming events. So we're trying this now to so that you can, if you want, you can put it in your calendar, and it should be self-explanatory which level or which subject they are. Always the first one will be an elementary one. The second one will be a secondary one, and you can see by the color codes that we're going to exchange shifts, Stacy and I, and alternate. But we'll always be available to be called in if there's specific questions either of us can't answer. So let's get started. As I said, I'm going to be sharing an elementary resource. So there is a function of the Societies and Territories site that got buried when we updated the site. It's still there though, and I wanted to bring it up because it's the events timeline, and it does include the Great Wars in between 1905 and 1980. So the events timeline is a function on the site that situates and describes key events from around 1500 to now. These are events that happen often in between the time periods, but not always, and they mark key events that you can refer to, gives students a sense of time. Why? Why the World War I and World War II? Well, in 1905, major political and social events and people like Sir Wilfrid Laurier, for example, um, they they ended up being involved in World War One, and the economic situation and political situation was turning towards that. So to prepare students for the transition from one period of time to another, you can talk about the events that happen in between it. And of course, the Quiet Revolution is also mentioned on the timeline. Just after those events, the 1980s followed. So it's a transition, but it's also situating students, and it gives you a chance if you happen to be in this time period when you're teaching, or in this date when you're teaching these events, you can refer to the World Wars and talk about them. Where is, well, who is it for? I say elementary cycle 2 and 3 because the timeline does cover major events through the two cycles. So you can use the timeline as you go. And I'll just show you where it is. There's an events button I just added back, which had gotten taken away. But it's here. Actually, I'll go to the first page to show you where the events button is. We'll put the events button here because I couldn't fit it on the top line in the French sector. So side. So we put the events button here, and this is what it looks like. So as I said, this is through time from around 1500 onward, and it's a tool that can be used in different ways. But basically, when you get up to the World Wars, you can see that actually it does link to a page on the site. There's information, and there was a page. Now this is brought over from the original Récit French site, and we may add other key events to that timeline in the future. So there's some information on World War I and World War II in the context of what was going on before and after, and there are some images you can use. Um, Speaking of images, that's going to be my second share. So keeping in mind that there are images here, if you're in secondary, you can go find some here. You can do the opposite, and you can use the secondary resources to talk about World War I or World War II, if you happen to be talking about it at all in elementary. So here's my second share. Again, to remind you, we're going to take questions after the shares, and I'll just run through these and record it for the video's sake. So let's just make that a little bigger. First World War. We do have a section. Actually, we have two sections on the First World War. This is the second of the First World War sections on war efforts and conscriptions. The first section is on causes. And I wanted to show you this section because it's good for allowing students to imagine and experience life during wartime. Students will critically examine images, but also locations. There's a whole bunch of resources on this site, but I'm going to start with the image analysis section and um, and then talk about some of the resources that follow the student page. Who, secondary cycle 2 students, of course, would be grade secondary 4, but the resources, again, are useful for working with students on Remembrance Day and other subjects and in elementary as well. So let's go where it is. It's on the secondary history site. You can search First World War on the Learn main site as well, and you'll find link to this page actually, and some of these resources. So this is what the page looks like. Again, I said that there was another section on main causes here, and there are videos available throughout. And this one is an overview, which you can be used to overview the entire war effort. But the way this is set up, it starts out as all the pages do with an engagement activity. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the technology that was used here. The idea is that students look at different images and analyze them. And the images are thought-provoking, different things you wouldn't expect. Like, for example, conscription, but from a Greek point of view, like there's an image here. Uh, Machine guns, but in Tunisia. And I always like to look at this one here as a good example of a of an image of what was going on, an image of bombings through using Zeppelins, I believe. So there's a yes, Zeppelin bombings. So here you've got different steps. Now this is meant to be high definition, so the text is really small and students can zoom in. It's meant to be printed on a 11 by 17 sheet and analyzed in groups. And basically, the steps are things like look deeply at the picture, think about the title for a long time, observe things, write down what you see in the picture, write questions you have about the picture, discuss the questions, think about the historical contexts, and so on. So this is an image analysis tool. You could image analysis tool. You could obviously replace any use this tool for any images. And the idea is that it's using Google's drawing, which allows you to set a size that can be printed quite large. And also, of course, you can zoom in for different details. So I wanted to mention, though, that this page, again, is a student page and it has a lot of different resources about the Canadian war effort um, and different pages about the soldiers and what they experienced, the War Measures Act. The page is actually also about conscription, which is important because I'll show you a resource down below. And so there's some conscription text. There's a short activity that's available on the page for students directly to use, and another sort of suggestion to compare reactions on the page as well. And there is an activity suggested for students on the page to investigate further where the war was going on. Now, all these activities and more are down in the teacher's corner, including what I wanted to mention, a um, a new LES. Well, this was sort of an LES, a collection of tasks, and on conscription itself. Now, this is a separate uh, resource, so it's not necessarily the same materials. It's worth checking out. Now, below that, there's an educator's guide on using this page and the resources that were there previously. And I wanted to mention there are a few other interesting tasks down below, including a scavenger hunt that uses cartograph maps, and this interesting one by Rassi on the conscription crisis and AI images. So you can imagine that a lot of the images students are seeing these days are made from artificial intelligence. And this learning activity asks students to look at images about conscription and to decide which one of these images are made with AI. So a great bunch of resources on the First World War that's available on the main history site through Learn. So that's our shares, and we are going to stop and open up the floor for any questions or any resources you'd like to share.